This is the Professional Goblins Gaming Podcast.
Hello, Internet.
I'm one of your hosts. My name is Mike Myler.
And
There's
I'm
another of your hosts,
Scott Gladstein. And today we have a secret mic.
Hello, I am the secret Mike.
The most secret Mike.
Or Michael.
rubbing it in.
You'll see me occasionally.
Yep, sometimes
Yeah,
it'll pop up.
not everybody can be secret.
If you do not already know Michael McCarthy here, he has worked on all my books. He's my editor. So he's Variant the Codex Hypercore 299 and Mists of Akuma. And he also has a bunch of Paizo credits because they like him a lot. I assume because he's Canadian. And, you just started Straight Path Games, which we will talk about.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yes, he just kicked off a little publishing effort. But
Publishing efforts are never little, man. They're a big one. I know all about that.
Well, his thing is specifically little, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yes, it's specifically little books, but
That's cool. I like it.
We have a standard format in our shows. So we're going to start by talking about our favorite games that we're currently in. Then we're going to talk about our favorite characters of the games that we're currently in, the stuff we're working on, our favorite new stuff that we're not working on, Pathfinder and Starfinder news, D&D 5e news, other RPG news, other media of interest, Kickstarters, Patreons, and then we'll give a spot for Mike just to lay it down what he's up to. So, since we have a guest, let's start with him. What is your favorite game you're currently in, Michael?
well, I am in a lot of games, mostly play-by-post online at a site called RPG Crossing. And but none of those are my favorite games right now. My favorite game right now is one we just started in real life with a group of my buddies. We wrapped up one of my campaigns, and someone else started a 5th edition campaign for Out of the Abyss. And I like it because it's new. You know, it's always fun to start something new, to get into something new. Out of the Abyss is a really NPC heavy beginning, so it's a really interesting game with lots of characters, lots of stuff to learn about the system.
Okay, so is this your first full on 5e game aside from a couple of Mists of Akuma games?
Yeah, there was Mists of Akuma, and then I played a couple. I played through the whole beginner box for 5th edition.
Nice.
I played through a couple of adventures back when it was in beta. But that's it. This is my first full-on 5th edition game.
All right. Well, so I normally don't do. One gaming group is into them, so I've been playing with them, and we did the Minds of Phandelver and the Tyranny of Dragons, and a little bit of Ravenloft, and now we're in Storm King's Thunder, and I don't know, man. I haven't really been hooked to any of the NPCs I've encountered in any of these things, except for maybe 2 or 3. So when you say it's NPC heavy, are you really engaged by the NPCs? Do you think that's more the GM, or do you think that's the material he's got at hand, or what?
It's hard to say. I have no idea what material he actually has at hand other than the book in front of him.
Well, you know the GM, right?
Yeah, and I think it's the GM.
A good GM really makes the game completely different. I've played terrible games and good games in the same module. It turned entirely different based on the GM. World's Largest Dungeon was a good example of that.
Yeah, I was never a fan of World's Largest Dungeon.
There are some very unpolished parts.
It's very interesting, but it's not directed, and it really fails in that, which is one of the biggest, most important parts of an adventure.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so that one's my favorite game, but I've got a list of 24 others I'm in of an adventure you have forever.
Next time you're on the show, you can pick a new one.
Right.
Scott here, you picked up a game since last week, right?
Yeah, we've done so I gotta say, I'm gonna try to not plug any products here. But we are doing a bunch of playtest stuff, so I will spare the specifics of it. But so we were doing a playtest in Roll20, and unfortunately I typed in Napoleon or something like that, and it was late. And yeah, this might not be as PG-13 as I want it to be. So I typed in to look for tokens, and for some reason these busty anime chick tokens came up. and roll 20 for the for the chat for the icons.
For Napoleon? Okay.
I don't know. I'm not touching that with a 1,000,000-foot pole. But so I decided. So it's really late, and we're like third or fourth playtest of the night, and we're just like, all right, we're going with these. What's the background? Because actually, we named one of them Christos, one of them something about royal tits, and the other one I forget. It was not PG-13, and we decided that we were Amazons policing a bunch of prostitutes who had been ignoring their license, and it just went really downhill from there. It was not a professional thing. I have the playtest data. I'm not sharing the playtest data, but the problem was we were being super PC about it too. So we're all like, "You totally have the right to do that." But seriously, what the hell, man? We have to. You can't do this. No, you'll never take our prostitute licenses. And they ran up and tried stabbing us, and they missed like every single thing. And we talked someone to death, I think. I don't know. It was glorious. It was wonderful. And totally inappropriate and wonderful. But yeah, that's what I was in. We also learned that color spray is a hell of a spell against CR 1/3.
Color spray is a hell of a spell. Yes.
It's just such a fun spell. I'm seeing why you are not coming up here, maybe. I want to see if I can fix that. Anyway, so, yeah, that's my gaming story for the week. It was really late, and I love those games when you just start laughing your ass off.
When things go off the rails.
Oh, totally.
Those are the best ones.
And we got good playtest data, too. It's just like, one of them was in a wheelchair for some reason, because busty anime chicks in wheelchairs, and... it was.
That's a thing.
It's a thing. It's someone's thing, and like I said, we did not handle it professionally.
All right.
So, Mike, what do you got for us this week? What horrible
this week
thing?
I got a playtest.
Yeah.
So 2099 Wasteland. I've been working on that. My group. 2 weeks ago, or 2 games ago, I guess. They wandered. There's this thing you do called fast searching, where if you don't want to have draw out each map and everybody go through them, they just look. They make a luck check. If it's a bad score, they run into a monster.
Mm-hmm.
So they rolled and they ran into like a brain slug,
mm-hmm.
and it happened when one character was not within sight of any other characters.
Of course,
like landed on his shoulder, got into his brain, and then they're like, "Oh god, oh god." They're like, "Oh wait, he's like a walking undead character, basically." Like, "Oh okay, it won't be able to do anything to him. It'll just die in there." So of course it doesn't die in there. It continues to do its fell work, and it starts like trying to find more brain slugs. And so they find some other outsiders or some survivors, and they bring them in. And he finds one of them has a brain slug, and in another house he finds a brain slug and like stows it away. And then they get into a fight with a mutant in a house, and he gets there first and he grapples it, and then amazingly he manages to get the brain slug on his shoulder, and it makes its attack roll. So rather than like this epic encounter against this very hard monster, they brainwashed it with a brain slug. And mind you, only one character knows about the brain slug at this point. Only the zombie guy. So this continues. And the next session, they sit down, they go through some stuff, and then they run into forget how... Or no, wait. How did they die? The one guy died, and the brain slug crawled out of his brain and managed to get into the human's brain. So now she's the only one who's got a brain slug, and she started gestating with other people with brain slugs.
Oh God, no!
And they're growing brain slugs. Yeah. So like, it's a low CR creature, and I'm glad that we did it because it gave me like a whole page worth of like, here's how to responsibly use the brain slug. Like,
responsibly, yes, totally.
Dominated. They're playing 2 characters now. One of the characters happens to be a brain slug, but they're also still playing their other character, and So that the fact that has morphed from survival in the wasteland to spread and propagate slosh makes me so happy. Oh, yeah.
You gotta remind me at one point. I gotta tell the Ravenloft story. We got an Expedition Castle Ravenloft story that ended up something like that. Remind me another time.
Next, we got favorite characters in the games that you are currently in. Mike McCarthy, who's your favorite character in the game that you are currently in? It doesn't have to be your character; it can be any character.
Yeah, well, I was gonna pick one of the characters in one of my online games.
Yeah?
It's a gnome, and he's this tinkerer gnome because
Of course.
that's what everybody picks gnomes to be nowadays because they lack a proper niche in the game.
Yeah.
I think they had that niche for a while. I mean, Gond.
Well, they have, but were starting to add stuff to the game, and then the way the whole game is sort of expanded to fill every crack. Gnomes real
they kind of
niche
got shoved towards
kinda,
hobbits a little bit. I felt.
Exactly. Gnomes became
And
like the other halflings, and
The
then they're
eccentric
like
things.
the weird magic halflings.
Mhm.
So they lacked a real proper niche until they got to be tinkers, but that's not in every setting. So this one character, he's a tinker gnome, and it's Galarian, but whatever.
Mhm.
And he's a fighter.
Mhm.
So his whole thing is he's trying to invent the perfect weapon. So he's got this basically it's a giant chainsaw.
That is the best
and-
weapon, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Well, and it's reciprocating glaive, I think is the proper name for the actual weapon.
It's Rip something glaive, isn't it?
Ripsaw glaive.
Yeah, that's
there
what
we go.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, so the Ripsaw glaive, and his whole thing, and he hasn't named it, but he's constantly improving it, and he's taking all the crafting feats because he's a fighter.
Nice.
He
I
gets
love
feats
it. I
out of-
love it.
He gets feats like nobody's business, and he's this like polearm specialist. So all the things he would need to normally take feats to do, he gets just them already as part of his class.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so he's focusing all this time building the thing. And it's been the thing for like 7 levels now. So he's this like 8th level character with this Ripsaw glaive that's able to wind itself and hold charges. And it's just this
Nice.
huge weapon. And he goes nuts with it and everything. And he added a little catapult on it that knocks indoors. And every time the party is faced with a problem, he pulls it out and he's like, "Okay, guys, this is a problem for the thing." And it's like, we don't need the thing to climb a mountain. Oh yes, we do. I can solve this problem.
Let me show you how you can solve this with a thing.
Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly.
That sounds
So
pretty.
it's all about that. Now I don't seem to be showing up on the Twitch stream.
Yeah, you're not.
at all.
I can't get you showing up.
It
I don't know why.
It looks like Mike is there.
Yeah, Mike is, and I'm here, but you're not like in here at all. I don't know why.
Are you? Do you have a Twitch account?
I do have a Twitch account.
I'm saying he's not showing up on the video capture for some reason. It's never
Yeah,
switching
the video
to him.
capture is only capturing the two of you, and mostly it's capturing Mike listening to me talk.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna drop out of this because I signed into the Hangouts as my wife accidentally, so I'm gonna
I should drop out for
gonna
2
sign out
cents,
and
yep.
sign back in as me and see if that helps.
We'll talk about
you
Scott's
go on and
favorite
talk about your-
character while you do that. So, Scott, favorite character in the games you're currently in,
All right, so we're doing a lot of playtest stuff. So
and you went mute, or I muted you.
Can you not hear me?
Oh, great. Favorite character in the game
Let me
you're
see.
not next.
All right, so we're doing a test. So
And you went mute, or I cannot hear you, Scott.
that's weird. Can you not hear me?
Everybody has to refresh. Favorite character
Okay, let's see if this is gonna cut the stream or something. Test.
And you went mute, or I cannot hear you, Scott.
That's weird. Can you not hear me?
Everybody has to refresh.
Okay, let's see if this. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Cool. All right. So, like I said, I'm doing a lot of playtesting right now. There we go. Now we can see you.
Hey,
Awesome.
can you
Cool.
see me
Look,
for real?
Yeah, there we
I
go.
really
There we
can,
go.
and I think it might even capture you. So, like I said, I'm doing
Excellent.
a lot of playtesting
That's
right
a
now.
weird
there we
bug.
Go.
Yeah,
now we
I can
see
actually.
you.
Hey,
Awesome.
I've done at least. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm real. Hi guys.
We
How you
promise
doing?
Secret Mike isn't just an unlockable character you get after you subscribe.
I totally am.
I mean, he could be. Paywall, $59.99. Actually, my camera's here
We did
today.
a South
My mic's
Park
here, my
episode
camera's
about this.
So yeah, favorite character. Like I said, I'm doing a lot of playtests, but we have this one character that gets brought up a lot because we like to compare characters to some of the iconics because I mean they're not optimized, but they are somewhere in that area.
You know what they do.
Yeah, and we have some pre-built ones that we built over time, and we have one that we call Sven because there's this big muscular mini we have, and he's a sorcerer mini, so cool. So Sven is this big, muscular dude with an ambiguously Slavic accent all the time. And
Is he a muscle wizard?
He is a muscle
Please tell me
wizard.
he's a muscle
But
wizard.
the thing is, though, because he has like a ridiculous charisma, but then he has great constitution and strength for some reason. And he's an elemental sorcerer. He's air elemental. He has the lightning stuff. But half the time, we end up just whatever sorcerer we're using becomes Sven. So Sven has become like the reoccurring gag character. Just like he comes up and he's just like, all right, guys, we need to do like a magic character against this. It's a DPS against it. Or damage per round, and then it's just like, alright, we're going to use Sven. And Sven is the most compassionate character. He's wonderful. He's very... Sometimes he sounds like Arnold because, he needs to be Arnold.
Yeah.
And another thing is he has lots of potions and oils that he likes to oil himself up with. Before encounters, he's just like... And he's always shirtless because he has bracers of armor. So he's just in there like... He just starts oiling himself up and just is like... Oh, okay, I have cured my light wounds. And they're like, Sven, do you need some? Come here, I give you a wonderful massage. Oh, yeah, just feel, I don't, bad touch, no.
You should keep your phone cued to like porn music, and every time he goes to put the oil on, just like hit it.
Just look at, well, I actually started,
Wow.
we had a NPC in a game at one point. I didn't run the game where... What was it? Are the merfolks the one that are mutated a lot? The merfolks and the mutants?
Yeah, the merfolk.
Yeah, so
the Sahagwin?
The Sahagins, yeah, the Sahagins.
Yeah.
So we had that in one of the games, and it was like, they decided that there was an oil of something, and they applied it to one of the NPCs, and the GM just decided that was too weird, and he was just like, hey man. So this four-armed Sahagin named Keth ended up joining our party because he was creeped out by the guy who was just massaging with oil all the time. Because he was a cleric that was just like, come. So that has transferred into Sven, which has transferred into like every playtest for some reason. And Sven is like, especially in games when it's like, all right, 2 players didn't show up tonight for some reason. Let's just toss an NPC in there for you guys. You can hire a mercenary in town, and they're like, who do we have? Sven. And they're like, fine, whatever. Sven's in the party now. So I think he's jumped into like 8 different campaigns. He doesn't have a background. He's kind of the man with like just a name and an awesome bod. Because good charisma, good constitution, good strength. You know, good times.
And Sven just is. Why does he need a background?
No, you understand who Sven
Believe
is.
that. Yeah.
You totally understand who Sven is. It's like non-optional. So that is Sven.
Right now, I'm playing. My favorite character I'm playing is in the Shadows of the Demonlord campaign, which I'm happy to be in because it gives you a much better idea of like how the game works when you get to play it, as opposed to run it or just like read about it. So they were all making their characters, and I just did it randomly. He has a lot of like random character and stuff in there.
Yeah.
So I rolled up and I got a changeling. She's like a short, fat woman that's kind of homely looking.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, she's like a scout that like reports to the Inquisition because there's like a very inquisitorial thing going on in the campaign setting of the book. And we started playing, and I was, the thief, right? Like while they were doing the fight, I went and got the alms box from the church and picked the lock and took gold from out, or copper from out of it, and then like reported that I only got so much. And then like the next game, we're sent off to go into a dungeon, and we had just become the heroes of the town, or the survivors anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And this lady who's kind of like weird, and I think very like meta, obviously, like the BBEG. She's gonna be betraying us, I'm sure.
I'm sure you'll betray us later.
Right.
Camera's here today.
So when you use the changeling ability, you have to see the person you're changing into. So I'm like, as we leave, I change into Mother Constance or whatever her name is.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mother Constance is the one that goes to the dungeon, and my character has started to like delve into the secrets of the occult, and so she's learned dark speech. So while I was dressed as Mother Bastion is her name.
That's a good name for a.
It is. It's a good name.
Character.
It's not a bad game so far. The story is it's hard to tell at this juncture how good the story's going to be, but I'm engaged.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, roll around as Mother Bastion and saying dark speech like all over the place, like intimidating guards, making a big show, and the whole time the party's like, "Oh God, no! Stop, please, Fringe, stop!" And then whenever they like go to touch Fringe or anything, she gets into this like schizophrenic babbly I try to do it like the Oracle of Delphi.
Yep.
If you guys know your myth, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, just
Yeah.
babbling in tongues and stuff. So anyway, we
wall.
finished at the very end. We almost made it out without like any complications, and at one point, I managed to avoid an encounter by being mad sneaky, which was great. Because like the GM was obviously ready to pound us with this construct, and I'm like, I have a silent glass bird cage. Like I'm not getting pounded by nothing. So we just walked around it and got the thing and came out. So we almost got away with any combat, and then a guard goes to stop us, and we ended up getting into combat with it. And then we figured we were screwed, and I was like, no, we're not screwed. They're like, why? I was like, Fringe. And they were like, Fringe is insane. I was like, yeah,
Pretty much.
obviously.
That's the way to
Insane
get everything.
like a fox. Because now Mother Bastion, who will obviously have an alibi for where she was, will claim that imposters went into the dungeon because clearly she wouldn't do it speaking dark speech. And if they impersonated her, they must have impersonated the heroes of the town. And they were like, oh, we just thought you were crazy. I was like, yeah, that's because I am crazy.
Pro tip, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, you sound like every rogue I've ever played with.
I love playing rogues, man. I am the stereotypical halfling bastard rogue, and I love it.
We in fourth ed we had this game where this guy we're all free. It's like we're first meeting, first session, and they jump out of we get freed from some slave caravan. Some guy goes, and we're like forming a group, and they're like, well, why should we invite you? And the guy goes, because I'm a rogue. And my character immediately puts a crossbow, uses priest. And he's just like,
right response.
he's like, what? He's like, you just out of game. You just told me you are basically like a thug. You're like, I'm gonna betray you and kill you. I'm kind of an asshole. Like, it's not a nice word to say, especially like in period.
I like to call that the woodchuck approach, because that reminds me of Record of Lodoss War. Because woodchuck they find him in the prison. He's just like, yeah, I'm a fucking thief, whatever.
Yep.
And then he's just with him the rest of the time. It's like, yeah, you need me because I'm a thief, and everyone needs a thief.
The best part of that was that character was a cleric. It was fourth ed. It was like the demo game I did for it. Had the multi-class feat for rogue, and was a better thief and a better rogue than the rogue because it never told anyone anything and was always like, no, I'm totally cool. Except it was mute, so it wrote everything down and had people read stuff. So it was really hard to get like bluff checks on it and whatever. Yeah. And they're like, are you a thief? And my character's like,
giving it the old Harpo Marx.
Yep.
I was thinking recently I want to play a Harpo Marx character.
Okay, always have with
on,
you a book.
Moving on.
Oh, that's beautiful. You have to have a book or signs like Wile E. Coyote.
Favorite working project. Mike, what is your favorite working project? What you're working on right now? Michael, rather. I should say.
Well, presumably you're not talking to yourself. Self, what are you doing right now? Well, Self.
Introspection.
I know.
Screw these other people. It is time for a conversation with the person that matters.
Well, I'm obviously doing Straight Path Games, and I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, so tell us about that a bit.
And you want me to talk about that now? I can go.
Yeah,
into
go ahead
the
and talk about it right now.
Yeah, talk about... Give us the quick elevator pitch on Straight Path Games, and then the next thing you're going to do.
Straight Path Games is about making gaming easier.
Mm-hmm.
Because Pathfinder especially, and that's where I'm focusing right now, is got so many books. And
content bloat,
there's
yeah,
a lot of great rules. There's what is it, 13, 17 core books?
Something like that.
And for every core book, there's like 12 non-core books, so that's 100. Yeah, so those.
This is just bestiaries and the GMG and.
So that's just bestiary.
I got a shelf in the other room. I got a shelf in the other room of all that shit. So.
I've got multiple shelves of all this stuff.
Yeah.
So there's so much of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I said everybody is writing new content. They're adding new classes.
Mm-hmm.
They're adding new adventures. They're adding new monsters. They're adding new feats. They're adding new spells. And I'm like,
Cyberpunk superheroes.
Cyberpunk superheroes.
Yeah.
But the opposite, like the other way that it could be done without making the game more complicated, is to take existing rules and simplify them.
I like that.
And it's not even about like just it's not about trying to take things away from the game. It's about trying to take paperwork away from the game.
Oh, I totally get what you're talking about.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
the first product I launched as Straight Path Games is the wealth system,
Mm-hmm.
and it is Oh yeah, and I have the link. Even I was prepared.
Yeah.
It's about
Share that shit.
every game I've always been in. The player who has to keep track of the treasure is a chore.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody gets the chore of tracking the treasure.
Mm-hmm.
So I came up with.
I did not get the chore of checking the treasure.
It's.
I'm not allowed to get that chore. I do dirty things.
Yeah,
to the
that's what I was
party.
gonna say. Yeah, I was a rogue, so they were just like, Mike, you're not keeping the party loot. Like,
It's
hey,
fine,
you're
it's
doing
fine.
party loot, or anyone else but Mike is doing party loot.
But sometimes they do. I ran Wrath of the Righteous a couple of years ago,
Mhm.
and at the end of it, we had the rogue was keeping track of it, and she had like 3 loose leaf pages full of treasure, and this is just the stuff that hadn't been sold. And it's like,
Yeah.
there's got to be a better way.
Mm-hmm.
So the wealth system was my answer to that specific problem. But there's little things like this all through the whole system.
So you're tackling grappling at some point, right?
I'd like to do grappling. I did an essay, and I've been doing not this exact thing, but similar things for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of articles in Trail Seeker, not
Yeah.
Insider, in Trail Seeker, called like how do I do something
Yeah.
articles, and they're just short 2, 3, 4 page articles that discuss grappling and discuss magic items and discuss flying rules and just pulling it all together. And I have one similar one that I just released for Straight Path Games. It's What Is Incorporeal.
I actually saw that. I actually did see. I think I actually got either the preview or something from it. I actually read
It's
that.
a really
Well,
short
it's-
one. It's
yeah.
like 3 pages.
Yeah.
It's only 3 pages, and it's pay what you want, so you
Yeah.
have no
I think I actually sent you a
excuse
buck or
not
two.
to go
It's
look
worth
at it.
pointing out that you make these to be like pocketbook size, right?
Yeah. So that's another good thing. I work in publishing. Technically, it's internet web publishing. I make ebooks,
That's fine.
but it's technically publishing.
That's
But one
I've done
thing
that for a while too.
drives me frigging up the wall is how PDFs, especially for gaming books, are portrait style 2-column PDFs. So to read it at any reasonable size, you're going to make the page bigger than your screen,
Yeah.
your monitor. Then you're scrolling up and down every single page.
Mm-hmm.
And so anytime you're reading something, you're going up and down and up and down and up and down. So I cut the damn pages in half. So there are landscape style pages for the product, but I also make them printable. So there's 2 layouts for every product. There's one built for reading on your screen and one built for printing out and keeping in a book or doing whatever you want with it. It's super straightforward, and I'm not doing art. I'm not even clip art, stock art, that stuff. Because each piece is getting a cover, so it looks pretty, and then it's just plain content. Because it's about making stuff simpler, and like I'd like these things to be a tool that somebody can just like grab a page and like hold up the page, and they don't have to print out like 5 pages because there's art. As much as I love art, I want to have art in all these things. But
Well, it's also a question of like, is it necessary? If you're not like trying to create a shared visual understanding of an adventure or world or setting, then like, do you really need art at all?
Exactly.
I'm
'cause
blanking on who it is. What's the publisher that uses like no art, like the black covers?
Raging Swan.
Raging Swan, yeah, Raging Swan. I remember listening to them talk, and it's like, we're doing it simple, awesome, straightforward. That's no bells, no whistles, no frills. You get what you pay for. We're putting it all into the design. I think me
absolutely.
and Mike
And
are the opposite. We want to pay too much for them. Get too much art. We want all the pretty art.
Well, and I love art, but sometimes it just doesn't. It doesn't add a whole lot.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
especially for
it
those
just
books,
adds
you don't need
page
it.
count.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, well, I'm gonna have 100 or 20 feats, but does that really need art? Like, does somebody need to really see what a dragon punch looks like?
I mean, I would like to, actually. That sounds pretty cool. And anything else that you said, you could have been like, anything else, but yeah, I want to see a dude with a fucking dragon fist. Because I like my 80s morning,
Yeah,
90s
exactly.
Saturday morning cartoon shows.
Maybe Dragon Punch is a bad example. So maybe people do need to see Dragon Punch.
What is it? Extra spell, extra, channel, extra. Oh my god, I'm going back to channel.
Hey, do they need channel extra times? They don't need a picture for that. Stuff
so
like
essential to the experience. Oh. No, I'm kidding.
And then, so those are 2 of the 3 prongs of Straight Path games.
I love
the third one is going to be for GM tools, and these ones are more traditional type products. I started writing one about orcs, just like random encounter tables, sample encounters, names, the sorts of things orcs are doing. Just a little cheat sheet. But it really ballooned, and I wasn't very happy with that. And it ended up being like 8 pages long, and I'm like, I don't know, this is not an ease of use product anymore. No. This is normal stuff. But then Owen Stevens just posted something on Facebook, and he's like, here's an idea I had that I never got to use like 4 years ago.
Oh yeah,
and it was called and then Trouble was what he called it. And I posted on his thing, I'm like, I am taking this, I'm going to be publishing this immediately.
Did he give you the OGL for his social media?
No, but I put
the official one is in Mists of Akuma, because we took that deductive mind thing from him.
That's cool. I love it.
He posted it. It was really good. I was like, son of a bitch, I'm taking his feed.
It wasn't a mechanical idea or anything. It was just like and then zombies.
I'm just saying, if you wanted to credit him, like, there is now an OGL credit for Owen's Facebook, which is hilarious.
Cool. That's cool. I love that we were in that era where we actually have to have that. That's awesome. I love it.
That's not a bad idea, but I'm happy just leaving him as a special thanks, because other than the concept, I haven't done anything.
I did At one point, I wrote, and it never got published. I actually freelanced it, and I don't remember if I got paid for it. I don't think I did. I did a My Humans Are Different, because I was bored of humans being boring. So it'd be something like that for that. I still have the files. I might turn it into something someday.
What do you have?
I have exactly an article like that coming out next month
I love it.
in Trailseeker.
Well, speaking of EM World Patreons, I will talk about what I'm excited about that I worked on this week. So this is a small one. I do a lot of stuff for E Insider, and they are doing dungeons as the next theme. And so I pitched him a couple months ago. I didn't hear back for a while, and then he got back to me like last week, and he said, "Yeah, I need this by the 28th," and I was like, "Okay, cool, no problem."
Guess that's what I'm doing next.
Yeah. So I finished the edit on the Races of Everglow for Pathfinder, which is going to be top notch, by the way. I just finished it earlier today, and I put the final touches on it. Anyway, so my dungeon archetypes for the melee. So there are 2. There's fighters and there's spellcasters. The fighters, it's like close quarters fighting, so like fighting near walls and like by your allies. And then the barbarian is like a survivalist, so you get extra hit points and proficiencies and stuff that just make it easier to survive. What's the next one? Monks. Oh, the monks are monk acrobats and rogue tumblers, which are the monks are all about bounding around everywhere and can like exceed their movement by what do you call it when you bounce between 2 walls?
Ricochet.
Never think. Yeah, by ricocheting up walls, they can exceed their movement for the turn.
We did something like that with a punk class way back when, I think.
Yeah, Rogue Tumbler just basically is a bitch to hit. And then the Ranger is like an understalker, so whenever you're underground or in a building, you get bonuses. And then the Paladin was the Oath of Discovery, which I found myself really liking. Yeah, like when I started it and I made the notes, I was like, whatever. But then when I started to like write all the extra copy, I was like, oh, this is the coolest thing I've written in this article. So those are neat. But I'm really stoked about the magical archetypes. So the Bard is the College of the Passage, where you basically get to like be paranoid, and then you get the Tinker ability of a rock gnome, but control over them. So you spend your Bardic Inspiration, you get double the result of your roll in rounds of control, and you can say move or turn or stop moving or whatever. And then you can use them to create like sort of a sensory net, and you can also see through their senses and cause them to explode.
Nice.
So big fan of that. And then there's Cleric, which is like the Cleric of the Labyrinth, which is kind of neat once I started to write the ethos of it. It was a little weird when I started it, but I was like, I need something dungeons and Cleric. Labyrinths.
Labyrinth. Okay, cool. I like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, parkour. Yeah, the acrobat monk would be parkour. That would fit.
Yeah.
If someone's on chat, I cannot see chat, so.
So the cleric of the labyrinth, the druid
no
of shaped
worries.
stone, because I thought like druids probably that was something I thought that kind of like gripped me, and I wish I had more word count. I already went over word count on the article, so I couldn't spend it. But like, you would think druids would be pissed with all these dungeons, right? Like those are totally unfucking natural. There's a ton of, I imagine, pollution and waste that goes into making a dungeon, like. So, but like you can't stop all these motherfuckers from making dungeons. So then the thing to do would be to be like nature and adapt and evolve and create a druid circle for specifically dungeons.
That's brilliant.
Right? Yeah. Like I just wrote down the idea and I came back to it after a month. And it's like, oh, fitting. The warlock patron, you get a third eye, which I liked a lot, and it can see through everything except when you're sleeping. So it like even sees through your own body.
Cool.
Yeah, I like the idea of having a third eye and like how weird that would be, and like you have to wear a helmet and stuff. And, like that RP feels very good for 5e. There's a school of the inside out because I decided the wizard school of the upside down would be too obvious.
Yep.
But if you wanted to be a wizard from Stranger Things, I got you covered. And then the best one. I've been saving the best one for last. The OOZEMANCER Sorcerer. So I wrote down the OOZEMANCER knowing that I'd do something with oozes because oozes are awesome. And they're so, dungeons.
I've used oozes many times, man.
So, and I was like, well, what do I do? Do I give them, like, ooze arms or something? Oh, it's a sorcerer. That's kind of stupid. So they have, like, an ooze body, so they get to, like, whenever they're hit by critical hit or a sneak attack, they roll d20. If the result is less than their level, it's a regular hit, no sneak attack.
Nice.
So basically fortification for 5e. And I thought that was a really elegant way of doing it. And then, right? Very simple each time. And then, oh, right. So they get an ooze form. So like at their 18th level ability, they can wild shape into an ooze, which is kind of
cool.
And then they get to make this fungus. They cultivate a fungus called Chimulatuka, or something like that. I don't know. It was a translated word from an African language. I forget which one. And they use that to summon oozes as familiars, which they can use to make attacks. And then they have to feed it every hour, or it will either kill itself and dissolve, or just attack the nearest creature.
Ooh. And
then they get progressively better oozes. And it just reminded me of A Boy and His Blob. I love that game. So like now I really want to play like a halfling OOZEMANCER that's just got like this buddy, this little ooze buddy that travels around with him. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that. And I guess we'll talk about they have a Kickstarter coming up next month. But I don't know if you know about that or not.
It starts on like April 3rd.
Well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it at the end of the thing. But I'm looking forward to that too because I wrote like a third of the content in that book. But I believe it is Scott's turn to tell us about something he's working on right now, right?
Yep. So I actually was going to talk about something completely different, but last night we had a thing on Facebook. You guys have seen the man-o-taur?
Yeah, I think so.
So it's half man and half man.
Other man.
Half other man. So I actually posted because I knew my editor Ian Sisson. I love to get him on here. He's fun. Ian, he's like my bounding box when I'm like, can I do something that's like really? And he's like, no, that's not PG-13.
Moon lizards.
I've done
moon lizards, Mike. Fucking intelligent moon dinosaurs.
So I was gonna talk about like stray spells and stuff, but I'm gonna do some of that another time. So I posted, I brought this up, and I don't think Ian would let me do it. He's like, don't you dare let me be the reason you didn't write something. No, you go for it, Scott. And I'm like, oh shit, now I gotta write it. So we had a work day all last night, and I was like, Ian, we're gonna write this up, man. We're gonna do like a 4-page write-up today. We're gonna crank it out. And it started off as a total joke of like, all right, it's a man and a man, ha ha ha. But what it ended up being was we ended up, if you guys don't know, I'm really big into the LGBT community. I've dressed in drag for charity events, and we've actually run a lot of stuff that has specifically gone to LGBT communities. So Ian made some comment on there like, wouldn't it be funny if you could have a male and a female half? And I was like, well, what if we did you could have like genetics from different parents, and we started talking about like how it would actually work, like splitting the genome, but like how like twins work, like how when they're when they're zygote and it's like they're but what if they stay connected and that's how they were born. So we decided we're like, well, what if they were half male, half female? I know it's getting to a little weird territory here, but the idea behind the race is that they are literally androgynous because they end up having either the top or bottom half being masculine and the other one being feminine. And I know I will not make a recoup on this product. I'm talking to my friend Kayla, who works with a lot of LGBT communities, talking about body dysphoria and stuff like that, and we're talking about how would we go about the psychology behind it, and how would we go about approaching that and using it as a tool for education as much as a player race. We wrote something really interesting, we think. I know it's not the most exciting thing I've ever talked about, but we're really excited to bring it out. And we worked on it for like...
That's really cool.
We wrote it for like, I think like 6-8 hours straight. We just worked like that. And I got this guy, Rui Fiera. If you're listening, Rui, come on, man. Get on the show. He's from... he's an awesome guy. He's an artist. And I was like, hey, Rui, I got a weird request here, man. And he's like... And halfway through, he's like, can I draw them naked? And I'm like... I like where you're going, but I don't think the license will, I don't think our licenses will allow that.
I ran into that recently, and all I did was I made a sidebar to cover the mermaid's tits.
Well, so here's the problem. I actually
you just run the stat line.
I love it.
Hard,
I love it.
Solid line where you put the challenge rating. Just put that right over the nipple, or the member, I guess.
So what my problem is I actually had a piece of gorgeous artwork. I was doing a book with tattoo stuff, and unfortunately, it was a female form, and it was completely exposed, and it looked gorgeous, and I had it, but I'm like, I feel really bad I can't use this piece, so I modified the piece slightly on my own, and it worked out. It's in what book it's in. But, yeah, I mean...
It's this big black square. He's like, I'm good at Photoshop. I can put a big black square over something.
No, so I think it was like an outline, kind of, so I ended up just removing the nipple, I think, and that was basically all it required. But I was always like, I want to do that. I mean, I could go D20 instead of just Pathfinder compatibility, but I do want to end up I do actually want to have that license on there, so I skipped that. But yeah, that's actually going to come out as soon as Rui's done with the art. I think it'll be a week or two. Ian's going through some editing passes on it this weekend, and it'll be good. I was going to talk about something much more exciting, but that was just, it happened last night. It turned from a joke into a legitimate, teaching, learning experience for people. We hope people get a lot out of that.
I saw people were throwing around the Trump D&D rules where you have to pay out gold and stuff.
Yeah,
I was like, and a friend of mine was like, "Oh God, please not D&D," and I was like, "No, this could be fun. You just have to do it differently." And I made a proletariat race. So
we actually have a communist paladin in Gonzo that literally can smite bourgeoisie.
Oh. So
we're right along there with you. Did you see that? It was there was one that was actually I'm not going to go. That's too political. I'm not going to touch that one.
Favorite new projects that are not ours.
Favorite new projects
Michael.
that are not ours. Oh,
favorite new projects not yours.
Well, it's so hard to pick because, I mean, for one, there's a million, as I was saying.
Yeah.
But for another, I keep my head down so much that I'm not aware of very many projects I'm not involved on.
Yeah.
Two of them I know, and I really love these guys.
You can be involved, you just can't be the publisher of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
But I'll stick with the two I picked out before.
Yeah.
2 Minute Tabletop is this cartographer, and what he does is he's got the shop for $1 for most of his maps. You can get these really gorgeous 8.5 by 11 maps with grid. You just print them. You click buy, you print them out, and you have this map. And they're gorgeous and they're really nice. And the guy is awesome. He's been in Japan for 4 months, and he's like, I'm on vacation. I can't do any new commissions. And I'm like, you're on vacation for 4 months? And he's like, I do long vacation.
That's it. Sounds nice.
And the other guy, and he's sort of partnered with 2 Minute Tabletop.
Yeah.
He's called Printable Heroes. I should have grabbed links for those. I did not grab links for them. But he's called Printable Heroes, and he's a very similar idea for print and play like miniatures. So every month he releases one or several miniatures of like orcs, goblins, whatever it is. And at the different tiers you get alternate skins, you get the backs.
Nice.
So he's got a really cool like tiered system. So if you just want the bare minimum, you can pay a couple of dollars a month and get these really gorgeous printable miniatures, or you could pay like $10 a month and get these even more gorgeous printable miniatures with variant colors and like and backs, and they all look really nice. And they were both introduced to me by another guy who is Egil Thompson. He's a wonderful, amazing artist, but he does not have his own Patreon or anything, so all I can do is drop his name.
Okay. Cool. What about you, Scott? Favorite new project that is
So I'm actually not going to plug a new project. One that's continuing, though. One that's continuing.
Neither of those things are new. Both of them are established.
I know.
I did not make them.
Fuck the format. Fine.
Fuck the format. Fuck the format. Well, no. One of the things I always like is so there's this girl, Deana Roberts. She is awesome. I actually went to college with her, and she does Patreon stuff. She's an artist. She actually worked for us way back when. Her stuff is not safe for work, but most of it's really gorgeous, top-notch artwork. I'll link in the description. Or you have them G Shields artwork, right?
Yeah, we know J Shield. Yeah.
Yeah, his stuff is
always
always gorgeous. Yeah. I just want to drop him in there. Every time I see his work, it's always gorgeous. It's always pretty. And I sometimes wish he would make it easier to crop backgrounds. But yeah, but those are the two that I'm following right now. There's also a guy. What's his name? Honestly, you got me thinking about Patreons as a sponsor. There's a guy. I can't remember his name, but it's like Pose a Day or something. And literally, what he does is he draws poses 24/7, 365 days a year. And literally, he puts a bunch of them up on his like Tumblr or something, or on some other. He puts them in a few places, and he uses them all to the public domain. Every single one of them, you can use them for whatever you want. Don't credit him. I back him for like $5, and the guy has like hundreds of poses, and these are professionally done, dynamic posing. It's just, and I recently started following him. I'll post a link later in the podcast Facebook page. But dude, it's just gorgeous artwork, and every time I have something, I'm like, all right, artist, I need something like this. And I have an archive. It's like, gotta collect them all. It's like Pokemon cards. I have to collect every single pose he does because it is just so cool looking. I've actually, for one of the things we wrote, we actually just did all his artwork as poses, and I checked with him. Dude's a super big like tabletop gamer too. It's awesome.
That's very cool.
Yep. He was so excited to be contacted.
All right, well,
Links to all the
since we're
things.
doing Patreons, I will just prop up my artists. Oh, you know what? I think we do have a new one. So for everyone most of the people watching this probably already know who Jacob Blackman is.
Yep.
He does great 4-color comic sort of style art. He has a Patreon. He's great. I love using Jacob. Jacob is actually one of the better artists to hire. Not necessarily because the quality of his artwork is immense, and that has to do a lot with like the volume that he does, because he does like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Like, I think last year he did over 1,000 pieces.
I'd say I follow him on Facebook, and every freaking 5 minutes he's like, done.
Yeah, look, new piece.
Yeah.
He was saying last week he did 17 pieces.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking
17
about.
last week? Jesus.
So you're not going to get Alex Ross art out of that, but he does make excellent art. And he is an RPG gamer, and he is also an RPG designer. So when you send him something, like, you get the full treatment. Like, he knows what you're trying to do. He understands the statistics of the stuff he's drawing. He gets art orders all the time, and his ability to interpret them correctly is uncanny. And yeah, like if you need something done quickly and efficiently and on time, and you need it to be done to your specifications, Jacob is excellent, and I strongly recommend it. He has a Patreon where you can get some cheap stuff there in the chat window. Another person that I'm a huge fan of is Indi Martin. Indi Martin is also, she's not as fast as Jacob, because God, how could you be as fast as Jacob? But she is a more traditional artist. So like,
I have an artist even faster than Jacob. Her name is Rita. She's somewhere in the U.S. One time I sent her back an art order, and she had it done in like 12 minutes. And I'm like, how did you do this in 12 minutes?
I got a guy, Miguel Santos, we use sometimes. His black and white is gorgeous. His colors, even, he was doing watercolor stuff recently for us. What he did it on. But anyway, I got a turnaround on a black and white piece the next morning. I sent it out in the evening, and he's in some other country, somewhere in South America, I think. Man, I'm probably gonna butcher that. And he's gonna be like, if he sees, he's like, really don't know where I live, bro. And he literally got it done like within 12 hours, sent back. I had one revision he got done. He got done like in an hour. It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I've ever hired Indi for a single piece, but yeah, Indi does like she's a professional artist. Not to say that Jacob isn't a professional artist. He's a professional RPG industry artist, right? Indi is like gets gallery shows.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's like Jack Holiday.
At art galleries. Yeah, pretty much. And she produces art, I would say, that's on quality, on par with Jack Holiday. But yeah, Indi does amazing stuff. She does a lot. She'll even do watercolors, and she is also pretty good at interpreting stuff. And like, I know we've got a really good working relationship at this point. So when I told her like I need the Wasteland cover to be like creepy, it's not just going to be this like wrecked amusement park. There needs to be like, and she's like, a giant bunny head with blood pouring out the bottom of it. I was like, yes. That is exactly what I want in the background. That is perfect.
How did you know my wet dream from last night?
And like, I think at this point she has just like a brush labeled Mike blood, because every time I'm like, I need a little bit more blood. So
37% more blood. Thank you very much.
I have said stuff like that. Yeah, I was like, I need 40% more blood or so. Yeah. And finally, I will prop out Nathanael Batchelor. And oh yeah, she does do a heck of a ghoul. She does a heck of everything. But her ghoul in Wasteland, I wish I had the ability to screen share, because it is fucking killer. Actually, you know what? I know of how I can get this to people. Hold on, I can share that one, because I have a preview of the page on the one of the Kickstarter updates, and it's worth the wait. I promise you guys, it's worth the wait. Just give me like 2 seconds.
Now, like you're talking about, like it's worth its heaviness, because digitally. It does not weigh very much.
I mean, it depends what grade paper you print it out on.
Well, no, but like a photon
matter.
is weightless.
True.
And the electrons that carry the information, they're only sizeless.
There we go.
That's science trivia.
Everybody.
I can't see the chat because I'm doing all that stuff, but I will take your word that it's awesome.
She crushed that ghoul. And that's also a portrait, because that was one of our higher level backers, and I think he's using that to woo some southern woman.
Oh baby!
Good luck on that. Good luck. Yeah, I mean, she definitely captured the lady.
On your ghoul game, man, go for it. That's how you get them.
Instead of getting proper Christmas presents for my wife and parents this year, I just had Indi draw them into the cover of 2099 Wasteland, and it totally looks like. The one for my mom is dead fucking on, and even my dad, who's like a super mutant in the cover, it looks like my dad. And he was like, "Oh, this is great," but like, did she have to
Secret Mike is losing it over here. I love it.
Somebody had to be a mutant, you know? Like, Dad, I'm sorry. So,
sorry, not sorry.
I got my third artist, who I used this for some interior pieces. His name's Nathanael Batchelor. I told him, I need a dude in power armor that looks like Inigo Montoya and Fezzik had a baby. And he nailed it. And it looks just like my fucking dad. So he's got 2 pieces in the book. One of which is a regular human dude. And it's by Nathanael. Nathanael's also very good. He also works very quickly. He's younger, and what's really exciting about Nathanael is, like, I got him into the RPG industry a couple of years ago, and the piece he did, to be polite about it, was sophomoric, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at that and compare that to the stuff he's turned into me lately, it's insane. Even Jacob is like, what the fuck? Because Nathanael went from doing like middle school drawings basically to doing stuff that you would see on like a cover of a comic book in a comic book store.
Wow.
So yeah, he's getting there. Check out his Patreon, and if you need to order something custom, he will chomp at the bit to do it.
I've watched,
especially if it's a robot.
I've watched several artists like that. It's great being able to hire an artist at one point, and you're like, oh, they're gonna be good in like 5 years. Oh my god.
Jacob.
when you're
Jacob is quickly outpacing my ability to hire him. It's killing me.
That's what happened with Jack Holiday. I contacted him like, hey man, can you do these pieces? Sure, this amount. Okay, cool. Next one is like twice the price. I'm like, all right, man, I don't care. Then for a Dragon Tiger Oxen, I'm like, man, here's like $1.5 grand. Just go crazy on some artwork. Almost $2K, I think. And he was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then I'm like, the next project, I'm like, hey, can you do it? And he's like, I'm super busy, and no, I can't do any of that. I'm like, oh no, Jack. Yeah. I still pimp him out all the time. He actually ended up.
It's the nature of the.
And I am super proud of that. I want these guys to outpace my little freaking budgets. Like, I know Rui, we had talked today about budgets, and like, Rui, this is literally my formula I gotta use here. I will whore you out to whoever I can. You go do awesome things. If I can't afford you, cool, I will go ahead and I will dig up more awesome people. But I really love it when I can't afford them anymore because they're getting so much work from everyone else. And that makes me so happy. I've done good.
Makes me kind of happy. I wish I could hire more Jacob art, but I'll take what you can get. You know. All right, so next we got. We're in the news. Excellent. So Pathfinder, Starfinder news and speculation. We actually. So just like do not purge or condemn yourself in this conversation, Michael. Okay.
I'm good. I know. I've been keeping as mum as I can. I was in the playtest, in case you don't know, Scott.
Right.
So it's really hard for me to talk about like the news.
Can you say, is it really fun? Is that something you can say?
Can you pitch to tell us if it was can you plug them for us? Can you say, I love this?
Hey, Starfinder, man.
You heard it here first, guys. Professional Goblins podcast breaking the news. Starfinder's great.
Starfinder's a thing. Starfinder has words on the page. We're real good journalists here.
Starfinder really just feels like Pathfinder science fiction version. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's exactly what you would expect.
Yep.
Excellent.
So like it. This is about the limit of what I can say.
It's excellent and what we expect from Paizo.
I love Pathfinder, and I really enjoyed Starfinder, and I can't wait for it to actually be out, and so I can like talk about it and be like, "What do you think of this? What do you think of that?" And I also want to see what they changed after the playtest, because they're like doing layout right now.
Cool. Yeah, another in a mad rush until basically. I think about halfway through next month is their like, we are fucked if we don't get this file to China now deadline.
Yeah.
Because they got screwed in 1 year they got screwed because their crate got caught up in customs.
Wasn't that at one of the? Wasn't that at one of the?
Was it Gen Con?
Yeah, it was Gen Con. I think I was like, that was the year we were there. I think, right?
We were there many years. The one we shared a hotel.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
I think it was that one. Maybe it was the previous one. Because one of them they had damage to the books because of that. I remember.
Yeah, I mean it's always kind of a dicey
deal
shipping from China, but Regent is really the best money they can get for the quality.
Definitely.
Anyway, so they released pictures of all the iconics and the final race.
The Vesk.
The Vesk, which are basically Trandoshans, right?
Pretty much Trandoshans. They're giant lizard.
That.
They're militant lizards.
I love the idea of a space lounge lizard that is actually a lizard person. Like I just love the idea of like a dude in like a cheesy, like a Bosk basically in a cheesy Hawaiian shirt, like a cigar and sunglasses and like a fruity Hawaiian drink in hand, and just like going around being an asshole, like that.
So a typical murder hobo. Cool.
What else we got for Pathfinder? That has happened recently. Not Kickstarter, since that's the end.
Yeah.
Didn't the announcement of the
more pocketbooks?
The playtest. Well, there was the more pocketbooks. Didn't they do the video of the spaceship combat?
Oh, did they do that on video? I know that they did like a.
I heard about it. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Some secret Mike is spoiling everything apparently.
No. This is
No,
something
you're fine,
I
you're
saw on Facebook. The Starship Combat.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a part of the Gamma trade show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
didn't like going to game.
I love the art for these spaceships. I'm so excited to be getting, like, even if I have to get them as standees, I'm excited for these. Like, the spaceships are gorgeous. I deliberately, there was a Kickstarter that just finished called Gaming Paper.
Yep, I saw that.
And I deliberately bought the grid ones, the hex grid ones, rather than the square grid ones. I'm like, I want this for running spaceship battles.
Mm-hmm.
They're on hexes.
Cool. Oh, you've revealed too much. No,
It's in the
golems
video.
Are coming. The golems are coming. Yeah, I know it's in the video, buddy. I know.
There-
Just he's like looking around for mounties.
No, I'm looking around because I've been expecting the little one to arrive any minute. Yes.
All right. Well, other Pathfinder news. Didn't they finish another adventure path recently too? Just finished Strange Aeons or something. I guess that was last month, huh?
Yeah, and they just released the Iron Fang Invasion.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Fang
Which
card
is-
game.
Yeah, well, the card game, they're into Mummy's Mask.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought Iron Fang. Okay, I got myself all mixed up. All right, ignore me.
No, Iron Fang Invasion is their current running AP, and they're halfway through releasing the Mummy's Mask card game.
Ah, that's what it was.
All right. Let me see. Can I think of any other Pathfinder-y, Starfinder-y business? I mean, I know our stuff, but we can't talk about that yet. All right.
I don't think there was any other big news.
Yeah, nothing else big new for Pathfinder. Yeah, Thurston, that was last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
For 5th edition.
Yeah. Which big news are you talking about?
Well, I'm thinking of the D&D Beyond.
Yep.
We talked a little bit about that last week, but it is bigger
It's
than I thought
it's still big. Yeah.
Yeah. So
The
let's
forums
talk
and
about
everything?
Beyond. Yeah, there are forums, so that is interesting.
Yep.
WotC's not handling the forums; they have passed it off to this digital company. I'm trying to engage the forums a lot. We'll see if that sticks.
Let's say I'm really hesitant. I still remember the JoyMax forum fiasco and whatever. I'm hesitant about it, man. I like 5th Ed. I'm still playing more Pathfinder than 5th Ed, but so it's still like I hope they do well with their forums. They got it, man.
How many times WotC abandoned something like this? That's what I look at when I'm looking at it and like trying to get into it. I'm like, man, if this was a gambling thing and you were putting money on this, you would bet that this is gonna fall.
Yeah, the bet is better on when it will die rather than if. And I hope it will be good. They might carry it through to 6th edition until they do that.
Well, part of one of my problems here, because I've browsed it for a little bit, and I considered, I was like, maybe I should, because in my products I hyperlink to stuff, right? Even the Insider articles.
Yep.
When it's like, here you summon a gray ooze, it's a hyperlink to gray ooze on 5esrd.com. And I was like, maybe I'll change my hyperlink to start going to here, but there's no way to do that. So like they've made a really slick UI. It's very slick and appealing and looks good. They did not make a super functional user interface. So like there are search features, but they're not great. You can't search the whole compendium of rules. You can only search spells or monsters. So you have to know where the rule you're looking for is if you're trying to use their compendium thing.
Dude, get John in there.
I gotta say, building actively a search engine at my work right now, search is so friggin' difficult.
It is.
It's like one of the most difficult things you can do with a big pile of content.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the amount of money that you would think they are going to make from D&D Beyond, I feel like that's an investment they could have made.
I mean, that's one thing that's really been big for for Paizo has always been their forums are active. They moderate them. They
Paizo's
talk.
thing is just giving a shit about their customers, honestly.
And you know what?
Yeah.
It just shows how much a little bit of like insight into your customer data, your customers' like demographics, and understanding the market and building that community, engaging that community constantly.
And it's like, it's thorough. It's like, if you look at the customer service responses for WotC as of late, they're pretty good. People get shitty books, the book gets destroyed, WotC replaces the book, that's great. But it's only coming out of customer service and then a couple of the design team members like Chris Perkins. So, like, I don't think WotC as a whole gives a shit about D&D. I think a core of that department and then another selection of individuals that work on that property give a shit about D&D. As opposed to Paizo, where I think they all give a shit about Pathfinder and they all give a shit about the Pathfinder card game and everything else that Paizo releases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's cool. D&D Beyond's neat. I'm trying to use the forums. We'll see.
I'd say I'm gonna see I'll believe it when I see it, type of thing. You know, when it suddenly takes off. I looked it over and there wasn't a lot of stuff on there when I first came there. I was like, really? I see more threads go up in a day on other boards.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Mm.
Other 5e news. I know Roll20 has hired their content developers because I know I am not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be new WotC content on Roll20 soon.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad.
It won't be produced very quickly or well because I won't be doing it. No, I'm sure it'll be very confident.
It won't
we'll
be as quickly or as well.
Yeah, I won't have that Mike Myler flair to it. It's all good. But yeah, so more stuff on Roll20 from WotC soon. Other 5e news? Anybody got anything? They released the Mystic. That's not new. That was what's the Unearthed Arcana this week?
I don't know.
Did we,
I'm not as in the loop on 5e stuff as I probably should be. I'm still mostly doing Pathfinder. I play 5e every now and then, and I like it. I actually like it a lot. But like we talked about last week, that pricing thing's keeping me out of it as a developer. Not as excited about it, so kind of have to dedicate myself more to the stuff that I can develop and make money on a little bit.
I see that one as that's been always my biggest thing about 5th edition is like, as a developer, there's this huge like chest high wall around 5th edition, and if you can work around it, all the more for you. And you know it's not impossible to, but it's like all of the like not all, but such a big chunk of the good content for the game, all of the stuff that they build core. It's just not available to developers. It's only like a player who buys the book can use it.
Here's the grappler feat. Here's one background. Yeah.
Yep.
Not crazy about that.
And you know,
exactly.
Let's be honest. This industry, as much as it's built by the big dogs were at one point third-party developers. I can think of almost every single one, or people on those teams worked for third-party developers. This is an industry where the mountain of money that you get is built on the backs of third-party developers. The fact that we make money off of it a little is nice, but we make this much and they make this much, you know? And the fact that we're basically doing free PR for them, we're doing free content for them. I mean, yeah, you got homebrew, but you have a bunch of professional goblins even. Hey, tie-in. Doing work for you, and give them a venue to just go and run, man. I mean, put up the wall, say, don't scrawl and poop on the wall saying, haha, dumb penis, but go ahead and actually go ahead and like, yeah, sure, if the guy's an idiot, kick him out, but I'll tell you right now, 99% of the developers I ever talk to are at least somewhat professional and know what they're doing and are not out there to, scrawl dicks on the wall. They're out there to make great content to support a product they really love.
Well, so, all right, I have a couple things to say about this. First, I mean, I went on at length about my issues with DM's Guild last time, and how they're trying to corral the third-party thing with that, and Unearthed Arcana, and their weird-ass OGL, 5th edition SRD, whatever you want to call it. So I'm not going to revisit that. If you want to watch it, it's on last episode, and I rant for like 10, 15 minutes. But to like the making of stuff for it. So when we did Hypercore 29, we had a 5e conversion stretch goal, right? And we hit it. And in the process of converting that book, I realized, much to my dismay, that Pathfinder and 5e are fundamentally different games. So, Varanthia Codex, for instance, is an amazing, awesome campaign setting, and if you play Pathfinder, I cannot strongly recommend it enough. You can play anything you want in Varanthia. It's fucking great. But it would never work in 5e, because for a book of that size to contain the amount of information it does, it requires notations and ancillary information that 5e just doesn't have available. And for all the different options inside, and God, there are enormous... I just collected all of them into a hardcover book for players. It's like 200 pages. So, like, converting all that to 5e would mean more than 200 pages, because 5e doesn't have as much of a structure as Pathfinder does.
It's more abstract.
Other side of this argument... Yeah, it's much more abstract. Other side of this argument is, like, you should match what you're writing to the system. So after that whole hypercore thing, I really wanted to write something that took advantage of all the vagaries and abstraction in D&D 5th edition. And that's where Mists of Akuma came from. And it's, again, fucking great, because it really pounces on all the design ethos in 5e and just goes nuts.
Yep. It's super simplistic. It's got, but that's a strength a lot of times. When you play, you go, how do you get it? Do you have advantage? Right? Good. Do you have advantage? Do you have disadvantage? Okay, cool. And that's just so much fun to design around. And I really like doing it. I've actually written material for it, but I'm not ready to produce it if I'm not gonna, if I have to jump through hoops to do it. I need
both
more
pies,
hoops.
One is turkey pie, another is fruit pie. You just got to know, like, what kind of pie you want when you sit down to make the pie.
Totally.
I want a zo pie, a pie zo, if you will.
You know what weirded me out? I think it was Pizza Hut has a pizzone, and I read that as Paizo one time, and I was just like, what?
God, Eric, you're reaching. You jump on that shit. If Pizza Hut was like, we want to do a Paizo promotion, I guarantee you, Eric Mono would drop whatever the fuck he was doing to seize on that opportunity. Anyway, all right. So, other RPG news. Other RPG news for this week.
Are we doing Kickstarters now, or?
That comes after. That comes after
okay.
other RPG news.
I don't have anything special. I keep seeing a bunch of miniatures that are really pretty online. That's
I read No Thank You Evil the other day.
Yeah.
How is that?
It is not deserving of a giant box. Like, it's an interesting game. It's an interesting setting. It's very clearly designed for kids, but it comes in a box that's like this big, and it's like $100. And I'm reading it, and I'm like, you could write, like, I know you want to sell a book, and so you got to do some things, but like character sheets and tokens and so on, they take up this much, and then the rule book is like this, and then the box is like 4 times that big, and it's like, well, how does that work? This is like a 3-page system.
That's a product designer at work, is what that is.
Yeah, and
because they're like, this is for kids. It needs to be in a big box. It needs to be colorful. They need to see it. They need to be thinking about it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that going on.
It's this big. It's worth this much, right? That's how it works.
But it's just that, like, the core rules for the system could fit on, like, not an index card, but they could fit on, like, an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. You could write how to play No Thank You Evil completely from start to finish on an 8.5 by 11 card, and like that could be their core for the system. Like that could be their selling thing. This is how easy the game is. But instead, it's a 60-page rulebook and a 60-page adventure book, and it's just similar examples repeated over and over again, which is definitely a good way to teach it to children. But I really feel
sounds like they need an adult version that is light-sized.
Well, but I really feel like that should have been like the secondary thing. Like the product that their selling feature should not be, this is a nice, simple, lightweight game for kids. Here's a giant box that looks like a board game. It should be, this is a simple, lightweight game for kids. Play it with this card. Like, this is the simplest role-playing games can be. Because working from that perspective, it's amazing. But working for... Yeah, anyway, I was a little annoyed how big the box was and how light the content was.
Okay. But at its core, it's all right.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I look forward to Claire and Amelia being old enough to understand it. Because
They
they're
got
getting
about
there.
2 years, right? 2 years now left.
Clara, about a year and a half before she's able to get into games properly. And then Amelia about a year and a half, well, like exactly a year and a half past that. About 3 years. Because she's turning 2 soon.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, I guess that's congratulations. Yeah, like your little humans continue to exist.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
My little humans are working well.
Okay.
I finally got to see those starships from Starfinder. Those are pretty, man. Those are gorgeous.
They are. They're so pretty.
I hadn't seen those. That is very pretty. But yeah, other RPG news, I don't got much.
I don't think I have any. Yeah, I don't think there's really been much. I'm taking a quick browse over EN World because that is my main.
That's exactly where I was actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on to Kickstarters.
All right, that's fine. Gamma happened, and a lot of like stuff broke that you won't hear about because it's for the industry. So
I did Gamma one year. I did Gamma one year. There's actually a picture of me pointing my sign above me and everything.
Yeah, I saw.
I didn't enjoy Gamma really that much. It was a lot of brick. I mean, I know it's really for brick and mortar a lot of times. And there was a lot of trash talk that year about, oh, I can't believe people selling digital products. I'm in the back of that like room, like, yeah, totally. Those guys, fuck. And there were some strong worded things, man. It was a lot of fun though. We had a lot of fun. We had a shitty hotel room too. It was terrible, but we carpooled from Phoenix to Vegas to do it with a shitty little like Sonic, and we shoved 4 people in a booth into the car. that was a thing, man. That. We got in like 2 a.m. They gave us a room with like next to like some kind of tram or like a something that went by every 20 minutes and woke us up. Oh, I was ready to kill somebody. I got like 3 hours of sleep, maybe an hour and a half of it was good that night before I was on the floor.
First Gen Con, I got to sleep on the floor of the room with a sheet. It was great. So, non-Pathfinder, Starfinder, D&D 5e thing that is worth mentioning from this week. Free one-page RPG where you are a bear.
What?
It is a free one-page RPG where you are a bear. It's in the chat window.
Okay.
It's pretty fun. I'm pretty
saw
positive that this came out of the Sir Barrington story, which I'm totally okay with. For those of you who are not familiar with Sir
I'm well
Barrington,
aware of the Sir Barrington
we will
story.
save you the problem. Just Google Sir Barrington and read it at your leisure. It's pretty excellent.
That is fucking awesome. I love that one. Remind me next time to do the Ravenloft thing. Sorry, it keeps going back to that.
I'll remember. Well, you just make a note in the thing.
I'll make a note.
We have a document for this.
Write it down in the document. Mike sent me this beautiful document with the structure of how this goes.
How this garbage fire goes. Okay.
I do want to mention something from Time to Stall, just so I do it every week. So last week we talked about synchronicity tests and how like what era you're from determine what classes are available to you outside of your occupation.
Mm-hmm.
So why this matters, what era you're from. What era you start with is your origin era. And there are these things called origin tests. And every era has a different attribute tied to it. So if you're from like the pulp era, your origin I think is gumption. And if you're from like the ancient primordial past, your era or your origin is I think it's just called primal. Is it just a primal? Cunning? I can't remember. Maybe it's just luck. But I don't know, there's like 13 different attributes. And every time you use the origin attribute, it's like tabled system where the author, because it's not a GM and players, you're a primary author and secondary authors. The primary author keeps track of what origin tests are spent on what and how much it's spent, and that influences what direction like main genre of the game goes. So if you have a bunch of people constantly doing pulp stuff, the game will get more pulpy. If you have a bunch of people constantly doing like intrepid things because they're Star Trek era characters, then that's the bent the game takes.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to bring up origin tests. I have much more to talk about origin tests because they are the central thing upon which Time to Stalt revolves. But that's good for now.
But yeah, we were talking about Kickstarter stuff. You can tell I'm excited.
Yes,
about this
let's do Kickstarters.
I'm
Occult
excited.
7.
I was gonna say,
Go for it.
Christina Styles' Ravensburg is coming out.
Oh, you.
We didn't talk about that last week, did we?
It
Sorry.
wasn't running last week. It's just a 1 week Kickstarter.
Yeah, and it's already got full. Go back it. Oh my god. So if you don't know, she teaches a creative writing class. The university, I think.
Yeah, she's a university professor, and one of her classes is
creative writing for like
RPG
RPGs.
design.
And so she's doing a whole like her students wrote up a whole like campaign setting. It kind of feels very Ravenlofty, and I think that's probably the parallel there. But like high gothic, I think it's intentional. And they converted a bunch of stuff for it. It looks really solid.
When she ran the course, it was when Curse or the Return of Strahd or whatever, the Strahd thing was going on. So I imagine all of her students were all like, "Oh, vampires!"
Yep. So and they actually like they built it together collectively. It looks really cool. Go check it out. Also, Owlbear plushies. I love Owlbear plushies. There's another Kickstarter for that out there.
And we talked about it like last episode, but Christina does make excellent things, so
Oh, yeah,
I'm sure
gorgeous
that
stuff,
whatever she
gorgeous
publishes
stuff.
will be awesome. I'm actually really stoked for. She's been working on Strange Brew for a long ass time, and I wrote this crazy Final Fantasy inspired witch adventure that's in there, and I'm just like, I've been dying to see the art because the art orders I sent. I know who's going to get them. It's going to be Jacob. I know Jacob is going to do the art order the way it was ordered, so I'm really excited to see it. It's like crazy crystalline cities and shit, and like
nice.
I don't want to give away too much, but it's dope. I can't wait for Strange Brew. And Ravensburg is very cool. It is a 1 week Kickstarter, so like, if you're watching this on Monday, it might already be over. So
No,
before the
no,
week.
it's not. I don't think. I was looking at it
That's
earlier.
1 week, dude. It's 1 week. I remember her saying it was 1 week.
I can find
And I was
it.
like, "Ooh, that's dangerous territory." But I guess it's she's already getting paid for the work technically. So
3 days to go from right now. 3 days.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's just
Look at it, guys. Go back it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
In the chat.
What else? Oh, Map Forge ends.
Yeah, that's
tomorrow
cool.
morning. Publishers, Map Forge. Go.
Build your map like instantly. It costs so much money to get a cartographer to do it. Back it.
Does
Oh my god.
MapForge include?
So here's the deal. You can use the basic tool for publishing. You cannot use a lot of the add-ons for publishing. So I'm just going to go in at the basic level because I just want to be able to like mass produce a dungeon thing with all the tiles and stuff very quickly and call it a day. I can add shadows and lightings and textures and other stuff that I want later myself. But just to have like that basic dungeon building tool at hand for $25, that's a no-brainer. The no-brainer.
It's awesome.
So, yeah, I will be pledging to. I've been saving my pledge for the last 48 hours, so I got to pledge today. But
I've been very hesitant because every time I've found a map tool I like, it's like, oh yeah, but it's like $10,000 for commercial use. So, like, who's gonna do that? None of unless you're trying to sell it to Paizo, not a single professional cartographer is gonna invest his money in that. It's a terrible number.
Let's say you have to go to like the guys like us who actually will buy that and actually will use it, and oh my god, and then we'll go made with MapForge or whatever the hell it is, or whatever the project, the not MapForge thing is,
I mean, the alternative, like, you can see my maps on my website. They are getting better and better and better all the time, and I just spent like $50 on just like token objects because I got tired of like going to make a bed or a trunk or a chest or a chair or a rug or wall sconce or whatever. I just bought them.
Yep.
And so that's what you're working against. You're working against $60 for basically everything you need, and anything else you need to make a map, you just texture it, and textures are.
I gotta
You
find
can
that.
get custom ones if you want, but textures are free and easy to get. So. But yeah, MapForge, check that one out. Another one that I thought was cool was cooking with dice.
Real quick, Mike, you ever
You
do
guys see Cooking with Dice?
opengameart.org? Go check
No,
out
I
don't
check
know.
out opengameart.org if you need stuff for maps. That's where you get it all. It's all public domain. It's all useful.
What OP Game Art?
Open Game Art. Opengameart.org. I'll share it in the. Let's see, what is it? It's over here. I have a link to it, and here's my preset tab because it is. I have it all set to the licenses I want to use, but it's open. It's opengameart.org.
Cool. Yeah, there's another one I use called RPG Mapshare dot something.
Yeah, I have a whole folder
And I'll
of shit I
occasionally
use.
pull-
Map RPGmaster.something.
RPGmaster.com.
The dot something does not come back with anything.
Well,
Give bad
there's,
links, like,
there's a .com one. I'm telling you. I'll share it in the thing. But yeah, that has
There it is,
free
yeah.
stuff too. I pulled some skeletons off there recently, and I think maybe a chest or something like that.
There you go.
there's a place I came across called Pixabay.com.
Yeah, Pixabay. Be very careful with that. They have most of it's good. That's actually how I found the pose art, dude. Pixabay is good, but they are not very good at their like filters. So you'll find like straight up Star Wars stuff on there, and that's totally not commercial free. Or
Yeah, I've read the Pixabay before.
yeah,
I did really
Pixabay. Let's see the other ones I use. Pixabay.
Oh, hold on. So we're talking about Kickstarters right now. Map share.
We'll have to do that another time.
Cooking
I'm the
with
master.
dice.
Yeah.
Cooking with dice is not directly related to any specific, like D&D Pathfinder. It's a cookbook of like fantasy stuff. Oh wait. Oh no, you're making I myself confused. This is another one. This one you're making appetizers for a dragon dinner party. Yeah. This I remember looking at this. This looks fun. This might be another cool one to have with kids. I think this would go over better with like tweens, maybe. But check the one out if you're looking for less adulty, blood, gore, everywhere games. That is definitely one to consider. And Occult 7, Bloodlines and Black Magic. They're doing pretty good. They have this one's a long one. They've got like still almost a whole month to go, right? 22 days. And they are $2,067, from fun. If you want like modern Buffy, supernatural, I think it's caps at 7th level even, so low level Pathfinder gaming. Go there. Clinton Boomer's involved. Anything Clinton has touched is gold. So, do you guys have any other Kickstarters you want to talk about?
No, I talked about the two I liked. Also, go find the adorable owl bears. Come on, man, they're cute. I'm a softie for it.
All right.
I read an Ulbar race. That's why.
That stuffed owlbear and the stuffed manticore are the only fantasy monster stuffies I know of that I don't have. My kids have them upstairs. I mean, aside from dragons, because there are lots of dragons.
Yeah,
but
I have I have the Paizo Goblin. I put it in my backpack every now and then, take it places.
I have a unique plushie that we will be giving away soon, actually, via this podcast. I'm not going to show it this time. I just thought I'd let you all know there will be a giveaway coming up. It is a plushie you cannot buy in stores. It is you can't get anywhere, actually, plushie. I'm not going to say what it is. I will say it is of something that...
Mike, it's of me. It's of
immensely
me. Okay,
popular
I see how it
because
is.
of. And one of its most popular characters is one of these things. But...
Oh, it's an Umber Hulk.
Obviously. It's Boo! It's a hamster!
I better say, guys, I thought you were talking about a plushie of me. I mean, that's clearly the most iconic.
I have
A Boo hand?
I'm playing Story of Season.
I thought you were going to say, I thought you were saying a plushie of me. I'm like, wow, that's really creepy.
It is. It's a plushie of you.
Oh.
I'm playing Story of Season, and the newest game introduced capybaras.
Oh my god, they're adorable.
Are basically giant hamsters.
Yep.
But
The king of rats.
the game itself was packaged with a miniature capybara, so I literally have a giant miniature hamster.
A giant miniature hamster, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
You should carry it around on your shoulder all the time and refer to it as Boo.
I should. My daughter has named it Cappy.
Ah.
Well. She's a child. She can be forgiven. Now, I wanted to announce that next week we will be starting a new section of the program, because as you do on second episodes, and we will be featuring 2 additional presenters, one of which is Team Shredder. We will start every episode by reviewing a Pathfinder product, and I will tell you how many turtles died in its production and what I thought of it. I will be joined, of course, by Harpo. Scott?
Oh, sorry, I cut out there. I think I was gonna glare angrily at you. You can totally tell.
I thought that's what you're doing. So I went with Harpo because I was like, okay, I'm supposed to talk.
No, but yeah, we'll be
Your
doing.
negative reviewer be.
But yeah, I'll think of a better name. We'll be Bat Bro. We had a we're
Bat Bro.
yes. So we'll have to we'll keep you guys updated on that. We're looking at a product. We're not gonna take it too seriously. We're gonna have fun with it though, I think.
Yeah, we'll say nice things too.
Yeah.
But Cool Shredder will not have anything nice to say.
Never.
All right. Well, that concludes an episode of our second episode of Professional Goblins Podcast. Thank you for coming by and joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate
Michael,
it, man.
thank you
That's
for being our
great.
guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to talk about Straight Path games,
Yeah.
especially.
Yes. I'm excited to have you back to talk about Starfinder whenever we can talk about the stuff we're working on.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can give us the inside hookup once it's public, you know. You're like, yeah, man, we totally screwed the rules at this part, and that's why it's over here and fixed like this.
Just remember, guys, Starfinder is great. You heard it here first at Professional Goblins Podcast. No. But to everyone who hung out in the chat and it was watching us later, thank you for checking out our podcast.
Yeah, we really
Or
appreciate
listening.
it. This two
We do.
guys making
And
making a stupid video on the internet.
if there's anyone you want to see come on the show, let us know. If there's anything you'd like to have us review, also let us know. We will bother the people responsible for themselves and the things they make. And otherwise, we'll see y'all next week. And we're out.
Adios, guys.
Bye, everyone.